is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Like to punch him in the face.
Well, let's get back to it.
Yeah, what Vladimir Zelensky should have said was not that it was a tremendous meeting, but that it was a huge and tremendous meeting. Nobody ever heard of such a meeting like this before. It was huge. That's what he should have said, but he didn't. Another missed opportunity, Vlad. Some text and emails and such from last night. Hi, Nick. This says, I just wanted to ask, what do you think our next step is? How do you think that Starmer has reacted to today's events? And will King Charles still be agreeable to have Trump over here for a state visit? I don't know. Quite well, and probably yes, in that order. And I hope that that is satisfactory. Andrew in Shrewsbury says, this is surely tectonic. The continental plates are shifting. Europe is moving away from North America. The current European world collapses. Another is on its way. Who knows what's going on elsewhere? Well, me least of all. I didn't even understand that text. Pete in Bristol says, evening, Nick. MAGA doesn't like Zelensky not wearing a suit to the White House. They didn't moan about Elon wearing T-shirts. Well, you're only formally attired in the Oval Office these days if you've got a 5-year-old crawling all over you. Jim in Australia says, I would love for Zelensky to come over tomorrow and offer the EU and the UK the same deal on their mineral rights that Trump spat the dummy about. Trump's head would explode. Yeah, I'd had that very thought myself today. Yeah. I mean, he's got... I don't really know how much... Of course I don't. I don't know anything about this or any other subject for that matter. I don't think they've got $500 billion worth of rare minerals. Somebody looked into this very strongly, and they came up with it's not even close to that amount. So if they took Trump's offer, then Ukraine would be on the hook forever because they'd never be able to repay it. If you wanted $500 billion. But it did occur to me that it would be perfect if if Vlad said to the EU, here, fancy some of this? I was going to put a bow on it and give it to Adolf Hitler, but apparently he doesn't want it anymore. Very disrespectful. Jim in Australia says, no, I just read that. This text says, look. Uh-oh. Look.
Oh, no.
That's not a good way to start a text. Very, very aggressive. Look, military Ukraine can't win. You can send as much money and weapons as you like, but there are not enough soldiers to use it. Get a deal done and stop the killing. Fortify the new border, make it like Korea 2.0, invest heavily in the army, and next time be prepared. After the 2014 invasion, what did they do? Nothing. Got invaded again. Yes, Ukraine can win, and it can certainly win with Europe's help. More so, in fact, that it can win with America's help. This text says, now is the time to tell Trumpet to take a back seat. We in Europe will settle this and let Rootin' Tootin' know that we're coming for you. Putin, back off or be destroyed any way you like, and we will include tactically nuclear weapons. Hey, can I interest you in a comma or any form of punctuation?
No.
No, just a stream of barely connected words. Tactically nuclear weapons?
Oh,
no. No, I don't think it's going to go to that. But then, stranger things have happened. This one, we need to go into Ukraine, tell Russia to leave the country or we will push you out. The King, as head of state of Canada, should withdraw the invitation. He ain't going to withdraw no invitation. I don't think it's up to him to withdraw it or invite him in the first place. They just put wheels on him and, push him into the room. He does. And when they finish, they wheel him back out again. Gus text, I knew the Vice President of Jim Beam. I delivered the first bottle of imported Maker's Mark to its UK destination. Well, Donald, I will not drink another bourbon whiskey until you apologise to the gentleman whom you insulted tonight on your reality TV show. Stick that up your jumper, says Gus. Ain't no bourbon in Gus's house no more.
Booze.
No. Very, very clear about that point. Simon in Norfolk says, unbelievable that Meghan Markle persuaded Zelensky to rock up at the actual White House wearing stunningly inappropriate casual clothing and encouraged him not to come across as very grateful. When will Meghan Markle stop interfering with our business? How many more? I am charging through them. I'm determined. There were so many last night. It was ridiculous. Bill in Cookstown says, I wonder, did you have the same thought that I did when Keir Starmer handed Trump that letter from the King and asked him to read it in front of everyone? Your uh-oh noise immediately went off in my head. Yeah, mine too. Trump then pretended to read it for a few seconds before asking Keir to tell everyone, including him, what it says. Yeah, I wonder if he can actually read. I don't think he reads... I mean, I guess he can, but he doesn't read very well. I mean, have you ever seen him read? He must be able to, because every now and then he does straight on script when he's at one of his massive safe space rallies. You know, he'll do about 30 seconds of scripted stuff, and then he'll go off-piste and start talking about, would you prefer to get eaten by a shark or electrocuted by a boat's battery? Stuff like that. You know, that stuff. Doesn't have to read that. He just repeats. It's just on permanent repeat. Same thing over and over and over again. But, yeah, he looked at that piece of paper that Skier handed to him, and he didn't really look as though he was understanding it at all. Maybe he needs glasses, but he's too egotistical to put them on. It might make you look smarter, Donny. Just saying. Jacob in Manchester says, unbelievable listening to the full briefing of Trump and Zelensky. J.D. Vance was very disrespectful. And what he says, Trump seems to follow. I'm glad Zelensky stuck up for his country and didn't back down. You could tell how uncomfortable he was listening to Donald Trump. Keir Starmer bit his lip, but Zelensky didn't, and I don't blame him. I'm in disbelief, says Jacob. Trump is only bothered about making money out of all of this. I'm more than happy for my tax money to be spent on assisting Ukraine.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it does seem to be like a mafia shakedown, doesn't it? It's got nothing to do with statecraft or any of that. It just wants the money, honey. Mark says, Nick, in other news today, the sun came out here in Northampton and I felt the warmth for the first time in months and months. Come on, spring, let's be having you. Yeah, that's right. Nature is about to go all over us. How many more? I'm sprinting to the finish line. This says, I think Starmer pulled a blinder with pulling out the envelope from the King in front of... No, I've read that one. Trump is only encouraging Vladimir to keep Ukraine. It's like the pair of them are playing a game of Monopoly or chess. Well, it's definitely not chess. Definitely not chess, no. Matt in Worcester. Mock him all you like, but Trump believes that had he been in power, the war wouldn't have happened. The inference is that Putin realizes Trump is more dangerous than Biden. Trump is not going to get Putin to compromise by being best mates with Zelensky. This public argument will likely result in Ukraine getting a better peace deal at a later date, says Matt in Worcester, who is an expert. We're all experts now on every subject that you could possibly think of. I mean, we're all virologists, of course, because we studied that for a couple of years. And now we're experts on international relations and war games. Dave in New York says, Donald Trump is a small, pathetic, narcissistic man-baby and J.D. Vance is a toady ignoramus. Don't sit on the fence, Dave. Tell us what you think. He says the United States is now a global embarrassment. Chantel in Suffolk says, what a bunch of testosterone-fueled baboons. Imagine a world with female leaders. Female leaders. Although, I am thinking about one right now. Would we have a Middle East problem, says Chantel. The Russia and Ukraine issue? I think not, she says. The world is an embarrassment. Men trying to get one over on others and bullying people into getting what they want. This isn't a good outcome for men in general. Sorry, says Chantel. as though it's something to do with her. No need to apologise, Chantel. This says, I'm from the UK but became a dual US citizen in 2016. My daughter's UK passport just arrived and this afternoon's debacle makes me think that we should use it next week. There are good people here, but I can understand why those watching from afar find that difficult to believe. America's new national anthem should be The End by The Doors. This is the end. Dum bum bum.
Rock and roll!
And then, if memory serves, then at that moment, the jungle explodes. In that film. Liz in London says, Hi, Nick. Thinking about it, I know that Donald Trump is a very clever businessman. No, think again, Liz. Thinking about it, I know that Donald Trump is a very clever businessman and has made a lot of money in his life. You're wrong again. He's a dreadful businessman and he's lost a lot of money in his life. The only clever thing he ever did was persuading people that he was a clever businessman by playing one on a TV game show. That's where all this came from. He pretended to be a clever businessman by playing one on a stupid TV game show. That you're fired thing. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. But I think he's extremely naive, and in his gullibility, I do believe that he thinks befriending Putin over Zelensky's head will achieve some sort of peace. What Zelensky said yesterday afternoon was trying to tell Trump the situation, but like a child, Trump didn't want to hear it and covered his ears. The outcome of which is that the intimidation has actually come down on Trump and Vance and has made the whole world look up to Zelensky for standing up for himself and his country. Yes. I mean, Russia did tremendously out of yesterday, but so did Volod. Not Vlad, Volod. Mary Beth in Bournemouth texts, the Trump casino reminds me of Biff's Pleasure Paradise casino in the film Back to the Future 2. In fact, Trump looks like an older version of Biff. Yeah, he does. That's exactly who he is. Donald Trump is Biff Tanner, precisely. Absolutely no redeeming features whatsoever. Darren says, I am so beyond concerned. This world is so scary. Trump was never going to play nice with Ukraine. He just wanted to make fun of them. Saying this will make great TV, really, he was disrespectful. Ukraine and Russian people are being killed, and he was making a joke. Yet you can make fun of him or the USA, and he will go mad into a schoolboy mood. Trouble is, you can't make sense of a stupid person, says Darren. Yeah. Yeah, that is the disadvantage that other world leaders have when dealing with Donald Trump. They're not children. That's their disadvantage. Abby says, Nick, do you think they will ever allow you to enter the USA while the orange man-child is still in office, considering all that you've said about him? Abby, I'm not going. I'm not even sure that I would go if I won a holiday there. I'd ask if there was a cash alternative. Like Dubai. I wouldn't go there either. I could make it a twofer. I could not go to either of them. Take a 2-week break. Stay at home. How many more? Oh, look at this. Just a few left. And then I'll have done my business. I'll be able to pack up and go home. This text says, Hi, Nick. Apparently Tesla sales have dropped dramatically in Europe. The consumers are starting to fight back. Disgraceful how they treated Zelensky. Yeah, I can't not think bad things when I see somebody in a Tesla now. It's just an automatic reaction with me. Oh, you got one of them swastikas, I think. This text says, Hi, I think Trump will come to see Charles because he sees himself as a king and his family the royalty of the USA. So it would be the king visiting the king. That's how large Trump's ego is, I think. Mark in Huddersfield says, Vladimir Zelensky should have taken one of the Klitschko brothers with him while attending the White House. Klitschko, ripping his shirt off, would have impressed dump truck and the damned down press pack hand-picked by Trump. Some of that made sense, Mark. 2 more to go. Frank in Darwin says, Good evening, Nick. I've been told on good authority that Trump has been offered a massive payday by Putin, but only if he's a good boy. Well, if that had happened, then it would look a bit like what we've got at the moment. I'm not saying it has happened, but if it had, then it would look a bit like this. And finally, from yesterday, Paul from Lid texts, I'm just pleased to see that the majority of comments are condemning what they both did. In previous weeks, they have called him a dictator, which is absolutely laughable. Vance's comments about Europe and the UK not welcoming free speech and democracy while still refusing to accept the results of a democratic blah, 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 blah. Too long, Paul, didn't read. Phew. I've done very well. Now, how many have I racked up today? Oh, great. While I was reading yesterday's, there's 5 pages of texts to read now.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Everything is going extremely well.
Yes, it certainly is. In case you were wondering, 0345 6060 973. Here is Golders Green. Hello, John.
Oh, hi.
Yes, John.
Surprised to get on so quickly. Good evening. I just remain convinced that Donald Trump is...
John, are you speaking to us from the bottom of a well?
Is that any better?
Yes, it is. I was going to ask you to put the lotion in the basket. Otherwise, it gets the hose again.
I remain convinced that Donald Trump just wants to be the richest man in the world.
Yes, he does.
And he'll do anything to do that. So all these deals he's got, the Gaza and everything, it's just basically to feather his own pot, either directly or indirectly.
He should do it the Vladimir Putin way. And after Elon Musk has served his purpose, he should throw him in jail and take all of his money. I wonder if he's thought of that. I bet he has.
Years ago in another life, I used to sell his bonds, his junk bonds and his casinos, and I can vouch for the fact that he's not a very good businessman. He's been bankrupt 3 times. But what he is good at...
More than that, I believe.
He's good at finding people's weak points and using that as leverage. But in this particular case, he's not just using other people's money. He's using America's money and the power of the presidency to behave in the way that he's doing to feather his own nest.
I know.
And I'm just wondering whether we can
yesterday.
I'm just wondering whether we can sit him down and say, how much is it going to take for you to just go away and resign the presidency? Because I tell you, if he was offered a Nobel Peace Prize or $1 billion, he'd take the $1 billion.
Oh, of course he would. Who wouldn't? Who needs a Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, some people are more interested in things other than money. And, I don't believe personally that in 4 years' time he's going to go. I think he'll find a way to
it's almost like you're repeating everything I said on this show yesterday.
Unfortunately, I love listening to you, but I wasn't listening yesterday, so I do apologise.
Right. Well, it's as though it's almost like we're cosmic twins.
How much would you like? How much?
We are thinking the same thoughts.
How much would you pay him to resign the presidency?
Tied at the waist, yeah. He ain't going to do that because he likes the power too. He likes the sucking up almost more than he likes the money.
Well, we should take away his power then. I mean, you can't take away the military and financial might, but if Europe put 100 or 200,000 troops on the border of Ukraine and basically effectively said to Trump, look, we're going to do this is our country, this is our area here, you have no appreciation.
Right. Well, we're going to have to do that anyway. I mean,
we're going to have to do that anyway. We should have done it 3 years ago, but we need to show Trump that if you want to be in charge of America, fine, but we're not playing your game.
Okay, we're not playing your game. We don't have all the cards. Said a man who bankrupted a casino that he was running. Couldn't even make money running a casino. Thanks a lot, John. Gary in Anglesey says, what a bizarre parade we've witnessed this week. Trump holding court with Macron and Starmer trying to curry favour and Zelensky being scolded. The honourable member for Clacton has lauded himself as the person to woo Trump. The answer to this diplomatic conundrum is staring us in the face. Send Liz Truss across the Atlantic. The key to her approach is hidden in plain sight in her book, 10 Years to Save the West. When asked about her ministerial approach, she's quoted as saying, I took this on in my usual style, full frontal.
Disgusting.
What are we waiting for? Let's get Liz into the Oval Office.
Absolutely.
0345 6060 973. Liz Truss. We're paying for her protection and her office costs, which I think are, I can't remember exactly how much they are. Is it $250,000 a year or £500,000 a year? And I do believe that we're paying that forever for a woman who, I think, the briefest period in number 10 in the history of this country, and it would have been half that time had the Queen not died. Because for most of the time that Liz Truss was the Premier, nothing was happening. Durham. Hello, Margaret.
Hi, hello, Nick. I'm in my little kitchen having a glass of wine, and I get so upset about the world. I am tired of all this sabre rattling around the world. I hear it from all quarters now. There will be a war. Some people seem to be enticing us to have a war with somebody, with anybody.
Yeah.
Why? Because wars, this is how cynical I am. Why? Because wars make a lot of people for some people.
A lot of money.
People in wars make fortunes with uniforms, food, weapons. Come on. That's what it does. And last night I was out to dinner and there was a group of young men across the restaurant, about 6 lovely young men, and I thought, if these warmongers get their way, you lot will be away and probably killed. And all over the world now, there are mothers like me and grandmothers seeing their young men go to see the lifeblood being taken from their countries.
Wow, you really are.
I'm a pacifist.
You're a pacifist. Okay, it's a little bit depressing speaking to you at the moment, Margaret. You're in your little kitchen and you've got a big glass of wine. I see.
A little one, just a little one.
Okay, you're in your big kitchen with a little glass of wine. Right.
No, a small kitchen.
With a big glass of wine.
Small kitchen.
Yeah.
But we've got to look after our ear. We don't want to set... we hear these statistics from the wars in Ukraine, and you hear all these thousands of troops that have been killed. That's somebody's son.
Right, I refer you to the sage Boy George when he said that war is stupid. I think you'll find that is correct. Or war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again.
It's about greed and avarice. The whole world, particularly our country, is run by greed and avarice.
Yeah.
For God's sake, let's get back. If they put as much effort into looking for peace as they put into getting ready for war, we'd be in a better place.
Okay. Cheer up, Margaret. It might never... Oh, no, that's right. It already has. Get a bigger glass, Margaret. 0345 6060 973. This text says, I think Farage's mate and his sidekick are wasted talent. The mafia comes to mind. They're both nasty pieces of work, power-hungry, vile, and they love money. They definitely have all of the prerequisites for a new life in the sun. Palermo or thereabouts.
Absolutely.
Palermo. This says, Nick, am I the only one to notice that during the Trump-Zelensky mafia meeting that the huge log fire in the Oval Office behind them was not alight? Why? Was it because the combined makeup and hair products on the orange juices and shady vans would have gone up in flames and caused wildfires in Washington, D.C.? It's probably right there on the bottle.
Warning, warning.
Do not sit next to a naked flame. Rick Seam texts, Nick, just hearing that the Trump mugger idiots want him to get a Nobel Peace Prize. If he gets that, I want a Blue Peter badge. What do you think of my chances, says Rick. I don't know. How many milk bottle tops have you collected? And Martin in Chelmsford says, I'm betting that very soon the Honourable Member for Clacton will be dropping the oily rag in Washington, dropping the oily rag in Washington from his contact list. Oh, I got it. Instead, the... right, okay. A lot of insults. Maybe a couple too many insults in there, Martin. Just keep the insults to, maybe 3 or 5 per sentence. No more than that.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I am not one of your fans!
Martin in North... Hang on. I had not sufficiently cleared my mouth of apple. Dreadful.
Disgusting.
Martin in Northampton says, as the horror of Friday at the Oval Office becomes apparent, I'm struck by this comment by Trump to Zelensky. I made you a tough guy, says the man with the badly applied makeup, the felon, the self-confessed sex offender, the felon, the adjudicated rapist, the insurrectionist and the serial liar. I think that's one too many felons. Does this prove once and for all that the times we live in are beyond satire and parody? Yes, I believe that they do, yeah. Now then, who's been waiting the longest? Let me be totally fair about this. West Devon. Hello, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes, Rose.
Well, I think it's great that Keir and the King are seeing and, treating with respect Zelensky, obviously. And I feel that Keir or Starmer did establish this rapport with Trump.
Did you? I didn't. I didn't.
You didn't think so?
It
No.
didn't look like they had any rapport to me. It looked like that Skier was desperately trying to suck up and not put Trump into one of his baby moods. But the pulling the envelope out of his jacket thing with the King's letter, that was excruciating.
Did you think?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Right. See, I didn't see it. I just heard.
Right.
Right. Well, that wipes that away then.
Oh.
I was thinking that I felt he sounded as if he'd kept his dignity, Starmer, and that felt to me to be important.
He kept his dignity, yeah. Well, he didn't just sit there while Trump blathered on a bunch of old nonsense. He did stop him and correct him, just like Emmanuel Macron did the same when he was there the other day.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yes. He put his hand out to shut him up and then corrected him.
Oh, great. Yes. Yeah. And what he's doing with Zelensky is showing how to behave properly. After the thugs last night with...
Well, Skier doesn't actually want anything from Vladimir Zelensky, whereas Donald Trump just wants all of those precious metals that he must have heard so much about.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I just think it's quite important to be doing the right thing, which, I'm not particularly a fan of Starmer, don't get me wrong. I'm just sort of going from event to event.
Yeah.
And this looks good to me.
But by doing the right thing, do you think that will encourage a more positive outcome? No.
I think it might possibly, but it has
I'm
to
not
be done
sure.
anyway.
That's not what I have seen from my brief period on this earth. Doing the right thing does not necessarily mean that a positive outcome will ensue. Doing the wrong thing, on the other hand, often does result in a positive outcome for the wrongdoer.
Oh, well, yes, it does seem to be.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Trump, it's just one thing after another, isn't it? Right from the beginning. It looks like a series of illustrations of sadistic, absolute power. He's saying over and over again, I can do absolutely anything I like to anybody.
Yeah, he said that right from the beginning. Right before he became the president the first time, he said, I could go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any votes. He's been saying it all along. And that's the thing about him. There is no secret side to him. He tells you what he wants and what he's going to do, and then he does it. And people think, oh, he's just kidding about that. That's just Donald Trump. The amount of times I've heard people say that, that's just locker room talk, or that's just Donny, and, you can't take everything that he says seriously. Yeah, you should do, because he just speaks out desires. He has the thought. He said, I want that, and then he'll say it. There is no filter, because he's never been subject to the consequences for anything that he's ever said or done.
Yeah. And I just saw him, that this series of things, the Gaza thing, they've all got this sadistic element. There was one point where he or Musk said about the civil servants being fired, I want them to have trauma.
Yeah.
And then we're freeing the Tate brothers. I can see, I feel he's just saying to the world, welcome to my world. No morals. Yeah. No compassion, no ethics, no decency whatsoever.
Right.
This is now the world that you are having to live in because of me.
That's correct,
basically.
yes. And furthermore, no elections. He said that out loud as well. You beautiful Christians, I only need your votes this time. After this time, we'll have it fixed. He said it.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, no, he's just having a laugh.
Well, that's what's getting to me. This, and people, I didn't hear very much today, actually, but I did hear people blaming Zelensky for the way he was treated. It's as though you just, once somebody like Trump is in, you just think, well, there he is, that's the way it is, and you don't criticise anymore. It's absolutely appalling.
It's like criticising the woman who has just been beaten up by her boyfriend.
That's right.
Because she must have done something to set him off.
Yeah, yes. So, I mean, to actually look past the fact that those two, and Vance, sorry, I'm interrupting myself, but that those two behaved like the dregs of humanity, basically. And Vance has got this little technique where he points out something about somebody else's country, which is completely untrue, and says, in your country, this is happening. And that's what he did to Zelensky. I mean, he just wants a good thrashing, basically, that man.
Well, you go ahead and try, Rose, and if the security services prevent you from doing that, then I had nothing to do with it. Please remember that, all right? Okay, cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Tom in Sevenoaks says, hi, Nick. It was wonderful to see President Zelensky and Sir Keir Starmer getting on so well today after the Orange Crybaby debacle at the Oval Office yesterday. The Orange Maniac and his weird sidekick embarrassed themselves. Yeah, they did. And it was, it was a revelation, really. Oh, there is sanity in the world. Skier warmly greeted Vlad with a hug outside Downing Street after the Ukrainian president's bruising encounter with Donald Trump. Zelensky's furious bust-up with the spoiled baby, who is unaccountably the president of the United States of America, sent diplomatic ripples across the world, with warnings that the tantrum that Trump threw in the Oval Office could spell the end of NATO and therefore the end of civilization as we know it.
Oh, no.
And Zelensky asked for help from Don Donny, and it played out like the opening scene of The Godfather. You come to me and you ask for favors. You come to me and you say, Don Donny, you must give me justice. But you don't treat me with respect. You don't even think to call me Godfather. What have I ever done to make you treat me so disrespectfully? He didn't say that. He actually said... And Shady Vance, who thinks he's Michael Corleone, is actually Fredo. Hey, Fredo, you want a boat ride? It's okay, you won't need a life jacket. We're not going out far. And now Skier is hoping to act as a bridge between the Tangerine Scream and the grown-ups who are the heads of European countries after a successful flattery campaign on Thursday. And, Skier came in with a bucket of unctuous adoration and troweled it on so thick you could barely see Trump under the layers of it. Trump doesn't put makeup on that thick. And meanwhile, NATO chief Mark Rutte warned Vlad that he needs to find a way to restore his relationship with President Don Donny. Well, how about a solid gold statuette of Donny cheating at golf? Might be nice. Or how about a golf cart to take him to his golf cart? Would be helpful. Maybe an access all areas pass to the next Teen Miss World changing room area. What would you say to that, Melania?
I don't care.
She really doesn't. She tore up his access all areas pass years ago. It is important that President Zelensky, said the NATO chief Mark Rutte, finds a way to restore his relationship with the American president and with the senior American leadership team. Forget that. Forget America. They've changed sides. It's being run by an organised crime family now.
Absolutely.
And if you want to get weapons from Donald Trump's America, you'll find one taped behind the cistern in the toilet of an Italian restaurant in the Bronx. Meanwhile, the world's worst person and least able dancer is threatening to stop any aid to Ukraine, even though most of it was just old weapons stock that they were going to replace anyway. And that toe-curling invite that Skier pulled out of his jacket like it was a grand prize in a TV game show. Would you like to see what you've won? I mean, he's going to offer a golf twitler a second state visit. Nobody ever had such a thing, he trilled. No one in history has ever been so huge and tremendous to be offered 2 visits to see the Queen. Except, bad news. The Queen is unavailable. So it's going to have to be a chat over an herbal tea and a sugar-free cookie with that old geezer who talks to vegetables. Which should make the king feel right at home.
Oh, shut up!
You know, the Washington Post quoted a senior White House official as saying that such a decision would halt billions of dollars of radars and vehicles and ammunition and missiles awaiting shipment to Ukraine. And space Karens threatened to shut off the internet. I mean, they threatened that already. Give us all of your wealth for nothing in return, or we'll cut off your way of fighting back. Essentially, We'll kill everyone in your country unless you make us richer. What a way to run a planet, eh? I mean, this is what the world would look like if it was being run by a gangster.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I'm taking you off the air. I think you're having a breakdown.
No, really, I'm fine. I mean, I could be having a breakdown, but I've decided to be amused instead. You know, until it becomes, until we get to the point where it is impossible to be amused anymore, that's the position that I am taking. Luton. Hello, John.
Yeah, hi. I like the idea of you, when you mentioned undermine American businesses don't buy American, buy German. That concept is the only thing that could get through to... what's going to stop Trump is if his own backyard starts to rebel against him. And it looks like there's going to happen.
Well, everything that Donald Trump is doing right now does indicate that he doesn't care whether they rebel against him. He doesn't care whether he hurts his own voters, which does underline my take from what he said about I only need your vote this time. We'll have it fixed from then on. My reading of that is that he doesn't need votes anymore because he knows that he's going to just stick around, either that or the next election is going to be rigged. So everything that he's doing is directly upsetting the people that voted for him, because those are the ones that are most in receipt of state benefits or federal benefits. And he's cutting that in order to give more money to the man who's already got more money than anybody who's ever existed. It's
exactly. My other hope is that possibly Elon and him fall out big time, and there's total confusion as to who's in control, who's pressing the button and who's not.
Right. Well, my predictions are as follows: 1, he's not leaving. 2, there will be a televised, perhaps pay-per-view, maybe that's going a bit too far, but a televised national execution by the end of the year. Trump will order troops to fire into crowds of protesters. And what was the other one? What were we just saying just now?
You lost me, but I think I tick box. We're talking about America blowing up internally. I can see, taking your point, I can see the mass demonstrations which have to be put down somehow.
Yes, with great force and strength, very strongly. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it when he was talking to Zelensky. But the most crucial question, all that rubbish, when he came to the end of it, one sane female reporter said, "President Trump, supposing Putin goes against the agreement for the ceasefire, what would happen then?" And then he just goes, and his reply was, "Who cares if a bomb drops on your head?"
Yeah, he doesn't care about that. That's why they didn't offer Zelensky anything in return for all of the riches of his country. Because
I don't know if the guy's mentally ill, or whether he just doesn't know what he's doing, or whether he knows what he's doing and just enjoys it. And it's only trade and doing a deal what he wants, in his mind.
Yeah. Well, if he runs America like he runs a business, then that entire country is going to be bankrupt by the end of the year.
Exactly. And I was just thinking about which parts would you like to buy?
The parts that aren't on fire. How does that sound? Yeah. All right, got to go. Thanks a lot, John. 0345 6060 973. Gavin in Wadebridge says, Trump might be able to read, but he certainly can't write. If you look at his signature that he proudly shows off when he signs something, he does. He does proudly show it off, doesn't he? Like, look what I did. Look, mummy, look, mummy, look, mummy, look, mummy. He says it goes up, his signature, on the last letter, which means he's putting a capital P on the end of his name. And Jarvis says, actually, after 100,000 lies Trump has told, the only truth he told was telling the audience at the meeting with Zelensky that this makes great television. Yeah. Yeah, well, it makes embarrassing television. It's not TV that I'd want to see a repeat of, so not that great, actually. 0345 6060 973. Belsize Park. Judy.
Hello. I sigh every time I phone you now. Two things, if I may. One I cleared with your glamorous assistant. One I forgot to mention.
Right.
Anyway, if you want to go to America, as I understand it, you have to have a visa or an ESTA or something.
Yeah.
And you cannot go if you have ever had a serious criminal conviction. So how is it that we are proposing to welcome here, somebody who had, I believe, 37 convictions in the courts?
Right. Because he's the President of the United States of America, and the dinglings over there saw fit to vote for him again.
But what difference does that make? He is still a criminal.
Well...
Why do we welcome criminals here? And Trump, of all people, he's always complaining about not wanting criminals coming to his country.
Well, I'll give you a three-word answer. Good for business.
Well, I don't like it.
Well, that's neither here nor there, Judy.
Okay. Can I get to my second point, which I didn't clear with your glamorous assistant?
Go ahead.
There presumably, if this person comes on this state visit, there will be some kind of procession or parade through the streets.
No, there won't. I bet you there won't.
Well, if there is, I know he's invited to Windsor. Rather than people going in the streets and protesting and shouting, he will interpret that as cheering, obviously. I think we should all stay well clear, so that should he be paraded through the streets with the king in a carriage or in a car, there is not a single soul on the pavements.
He is not going to be travelling by car. He'll be choppered in. First of all, he's going to cancel because the king is meeting Zelensky tomorrow. So Zelensky got to meet the king first, and that is going to really rile him. He's going to throw one of his hissy fits, and he's going to cancel. Plus, it's only the king, and who cares? I mean, you know, no disrespect meant, Your Majesty, but who cares about meeting the king? He wanted to meet the queen because the queen's got, she had charisma. And the king does not have any charisma, not a single solitary molecule of it.
But he is still the King of England.
Yeah, never mind.
It's a kind of prestigious thing to be invited on a state visit.
Not really. He don't care nothing about that. I mean, the royal family here is like a Disney cartoon fantasy to Americans, and the king does not fit that fantasy. But the queen did, but not the king. And so Trump's already met the Queen, and by his reckoning, he was her favourite leader of a country that she ever met. He just goes on and on about how the Queen thought that he was huge and tremendous and great, and he was a good dresser and a tremendous dancer, and all the rest of it.
Right.
But he doesn't care about the king. He'll cancel, betcha.
Well, if he doesn't cancel, and if by any chance there is anything through the streets, please, people, stay away.
Right. Or he could take Bruce Springsteen with him, and then when he hears boo, he'll just think, oh, they're just saying Bruce. Somebody should make that happen. Thanks a lot, Judy. 0345 6060 973. Jarvis said, read that. This says, Nick, did you notice that during his ramblings, Trump referred to raw earth rather than real earth at least 7 times? I think you mean rare earth, not real earth. I guess that makes him a geologist, says that texter. Yeah, no. Rare earth metals, not real earth or raw earth. This text says, Biff is Trump, The Guardian. 23rd of October 2015, Back to the Future writer Bob Gale has revealed that the trilogy's villain, Biff Tannen, is based on Donald Trump. Putting an end to fan speculation, is it? Well, I suppose that is believable. I mean, I do recall that Biff Tannen did hit someone, And I can't imagine Donald Trump getting into a position where he would actually have to have a fight with someone. I mean, he could pretend that he's a tough guy, but not actually be one. Actually, I think that probably we'd be in a lot better position if the actual Biff Tannen was the President of the United States of America, not the actor, the character. And Keith in Poland says, hey, Nick, if the Trump state visit goes ahead, will there be an egg shortage in the UK as well as the USA? Yeah, that was another thing he was going to solve on day one, the price of eggs. Now, they're so expensive now, you can't actually buy them. All right, that doesn't have anything to do with how expensive they are, but you can't buy them, and even if you could, you couldn't afford them. If you have to ask how much they are, then you can't afford them. Bath. Hello, Laura.
Hi, bestie. How you doing?
I am great, mate.
God, everything's like a fever dream at the moment.
Yeah.
I can't tell whether I love it or I hate it. All the stuff with Trump I hate, but you know, it's been so sunny this week, and yeah, that's been the biggest plus of my life. And you cracking me up, man. Like, I'm in the middle of revision for my final exams, and you're just keeping me sane.
Laura,
you should come to my graduation.
I absolutely will do nothing of the sort. How can you be revising with the radio on? I mean, even if it's just music, you'd be not giving it your full concentration. But how can you pay attention to words on a page while listening to somebody speak at you?
No, I'm not doing it now. What time do you call this? You may work in these hours, but I certainly do not.
Right.
I go to bed at a reasonable time mostly, but this is how sad I am. This is the highlight of my week. Your show.
Me too. But that makes more sense. What are you studying?
I'm at vet school.
You're at vet school?
Yes, yeah.
Right, so you're up to your elbows in rubber gloves.
That's exactly right. You're like my cold, distant radio dad, Nick. You know that?
Yeah,
you should be at my graduation.
Yeah, okay. I'm definitely not going to be doing that.
Okay. Before I talk about stuff, if I
have we not talked about stuff already?
No, please, can I have some more time?
You can have 30 seconds. 45 at the outside.
Well, stop speaking over me then. You and James O'Brien. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. If I do a really good impression of my favourite soundbite, will you play it?
Absolutely. But thanks for asking. Appreciate it, Laura. Now we'll never know. 0345. Another satisfied customer. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. I want to talk about Hazza, out of Hazza and Sparkles. I want to talk about a train, a very important train. I want to talk about the discovery in China of something absolutely extraordinary. And I want to talk about something else. Oh, Skype. Have you heard the bad news about Skype? Oh, no. I'm going to have to learn something else. Oh.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Is he crazy or is that just the way he acts? You know, some whack job can say this stuff and get away with it?
Mike in Ipswich says, so DJ Vance, Shady Vance, attacked Zelensky, Vlod, I've got to get that right, Vlod, for visiting a weapons factory last year during the election. Vance met the AfD leader the week before the German election. Yeah, he's not a Nazi, he's Nazi adjacent. Steph in Sensible Land says, it's easy peasy to stop the war in Ukraine. Just put Anne Widdecombe on the front line. Every Russian will be scared to death or run away. She'll go. Emery from Devon says, Nick, I think Trump was wrong in the way he handled it yesterday, but he made it clear prior to Vlad's visit that he wasn't going to make a security guarantee. It was wrong of Zelensky to keep pushing it in public. But Trump was wrong too. Yesterday saw no winners other than the Russians, who are loving what's happened. We must unite, says Emery, because when the kids are united, they will never be divided. Sing!
Rock and roll!
Oh, by the way, a rock and roller died. Did you hear about this? New York Dolls frontman David Johansen died at the age of 75. The New York Dolls. So the first time that I was made aware of the New York Dolls, apart from when they released that single, what was the first one? I have it on vinyl. Their first single was it something to do with personalities, not TV personalities? I think that was the adverts. It'll come to me. Don't you worry about that. But the first time I actually saw him was on the Old Grey Whistle Test, and people of a certain age will remember that quite vividly, because the Old Grey Whistle Test used to be, it would be Whispering Bob at the front, and here's a really great track by Barclay James Harvest. And, there'd be 15 minutes of some long-haired hippies noodling, all of that stuff. And then the New York Dolls came on, and it was like, blimey, what's this? And then, in a quote that will probably follow him forever, Bob said, he sort of smiled smugly, as though he'd just suffered through something awful and comical and dreadful, and he said, mock rock. Yeah, no, not mock rock, punk rock. Anyway, David Johansen died out of the New York Dolls. What was that single? It will come to me. I'll probably blurt it out in my sleep. 0345 6060 973. Let's see. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Oh, Nick.
Oh, happy St. David's Day, by the way. Happy St. David's Day.
Same to you.
Yeah.
I hope it's very happy. Can I just say that I'm very, very bewildered, really. I listen to the news.
Personality crisis. There it is. That's it. Personality crisis. Yeah.
Well, what's happening? The Pope. He gets a coughing fit.
Yeah.
What do you mean? They measure him up and get the undertaker?
Not a coffin. Coughing.
Oh, coughing.
Coughing, not
sorry.
cough in.
Then I'm listening to you, and I get the two words coming through. Liz Truss.
Yes.
Full frontal. What was that all about?
I don't know, but
I'm reeling.
Yeah, you're reeling. I'm reeling. Everybody's reeling.
That is a disgrace.
Yeah, it would be.
And I got some news from Wales. I got news from Wales.
Yes. Lay it on us, baby.
You know the big hole, Fort-Safran?
Yes.
You remember that?
They filled it.
No, they're still trying. But what they've done now, I'm not sure of the firm. I think it's Sundance, Butch, whatever. They've actually said, no, we're not going to spend any money on it. What we're going to do, we're going to leave the groundwater in the bottom, a huge lake, and we leave the big mountain alongside the hole, right? And they're going to plant rare plants on it, foliage, to keep it. Because if they fill the hole in, which probably 120 million, if they do it, it could cause environmental damage.
Ah, well, I bet that the water that is in that unnaturally formed lake is good enough to drink. Don't try it, Jeff.
I just want to keep you informed and keep your eye open for that guy, Nathan Gill.
Right.
See if you can find him. All right?
Okay, will do. Leave it with me. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Tom in Dublin says, all those dinglings that said that they'd rather vote for Putin over Kamala Harris seem to have gotten exactly that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All those American patriots who said, I'd rather have Vladimir Putin than Kamala Harris. They were walking around wearing T-shirts like that. He says, also, do you now hate Tesla drivers more than our Audi friends? Yes, I do. Feels like Trump and Musk and Vance, etc., all subscribe to the nothing bad will ever happen to me approach, and to hell with everybody else. It's also, I don't have the broadcastable words, says Tom in Dublin. Well, thank you for resisting. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the sales of those cars have plummeted. Here, less than in other places in Europe, as far as I'm aware, according to the latest figures that I saw. But, they're down by something like 60% in France. I mean, they've just fallen off a cliff. Because, well, I wonder why. Gosh, it fair boggles the mind, doesn't it? It's almost as though Elon Musk's behaviour is having an effect on how people think about him. Text from Lara in Surrey. One way to achieve world peace is to put Trump and his bullies in one of Musk's rockets to the moon. Well, let's go one louder than that, Lara. How about to Mars? Space Karen keeps going on about let's go to Mars. Well, after you, mate. You first. Send us a postcard. Manchester. Hello, Raj.
Hi there, Nick. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Well? Yes.
Good. A couple of things. First of all, I think this is an ideal opportunity for Starmer to shine. He's got sort of a good relationship with Trump. He's still got a good relationship with the Europeans. He should be able to bridge that gap and bring it closer together. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. But what's he going to offer Donald Trump? I mean...
But also because he's spoken to him today, hasn't he, to Trump? I think he should have been saying to him, look, there's something's lost in translation, isn't there? Because that's not his first language, and he struggled with some of the words or the meaning of the words, like when he said, "Oh, there's an ocean between you" or something, and I think there must be something lost in translation there. There must have been, because I don't think he meant it in that context. Do you reckon?
You mean Vladimir Zelensky didn't mean it in that context?
When he was talking directly to Trump, some of the words he was saying, I'm sure they weren't meant to be as they were meant to be.
Right, not precise translations of what it was that he was trying to say. Yeah.
This is exactly what Starmer was born for. He's been a director of public prosecutions. He's been a lawyer. Being a black himself. This is a perfect opportunity for him. No?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, well, let's see. I can't imagine that any of this is going to work out well for either America or Ukraine or us or anybody really. I mean, somebody's going to suffer dreadfully. Of course, the Ukrainians already are. But I can't imagine that this is going to work out well for the main players, by which I mean Elon Musk, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance. I mean, those are the triumvirate. They're the multi... they're the heads of the monster. Because it doesn't really work out well for dictators in general, does it? The end is usually quite unpleasant. They don't get to put their feet up and retire to the south of Spain. They're pulled from a drain in the middle of the road by an invading army. Usually. Evan in West Wales says, after yesterday's performance, the Tangerine Tantrum can kiss his Nobel Peace Prize goodbye. On which note, I predict that later this year he'll create his own awards and surprise, he'll win. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be remotely surprised. He'll create his own Nobel Peace Prize. The most tremendous and huge peace prize that anybody has ever seen. Believe me, he'll say. Keith texts, reading a book, doing your homework for you. I think I've just found out the middle name of Trump's father. Never believe it, but it's... okay, a joke. A joke!
Oh, no.
A listener with material. Leon C. Hello, Jan.
Oh, evening, Nick. Yes, I just wanted to say, it might sound a bit random, but as yet, only 24 hours since that appalling scene in the White House with the dreadful Trump, so far, none of our celebrities, actors, etc., have put their head above the parapet to condemn what went on yesterday. Now, tomorrow, of course, it's the Oscars.
Yeah.
Probably the majority of the A-listers, etc., tomorrow, and the supporting industry, probably most of them would have voted for the Democrats and supported Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And I feel as it would be very interesting tomorrow to see whether any of them dare put their head above the parapet.
Oh, all of them will. Are you kidding? It's going to go on and on
I
and
don't
on.
know. Will it, Nick?
Really will. Yeah, the
I mean,
orchestra is.
may I just
Hang on a minute. The orchestra will start up after a couple of minutes, and they'll be played off stage. Every single one of them.
Well, let's wait and see, because I'd like to think that they lit up the auditorium in the colours of the Ukrainian flag, the yellow and the blue. But what I'm thinking is, I think power has such such power, such a malign power, that they'd almost again be too frightened to put their heads above the parapet for fear of never working again. I think there could be a new McCarthyism.
Well, yes, they're going to try. I
think they'll try.
They've already tried to get rid of degenerate art. I'm quite surprised that none of them have used that word yet, because that's straight from you-know-where, the History Channel. Degenerate art, they want to get rid of that. And Trump's installed himself in the nation's #1 arts centre. I think it's called the Kennedy Center, isn't it? He is now the director of art.
Yes, absolutely. This is why, I'm sure the likes of the wonderful Helen Mirren are appalled. Yeah. But would they dare criticise Trump?
Yes, they will. Yeah, but it doesn't really make any difference. Nobody watches that show now anyway, because it lasts about 5 hours, and no one goes to the cinema anymore. So its allure, its sparkle has gone. Who's going to be introducing it this time around?
No, I agree, Nick. But all I'm trying to say is, let's see whether they will be brave enough to condemn what happened yesterday.
They will. Yes,
all right.
They will.
I hope you're right.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jan. Never mind. Trump's fans aren't going to be watching the Oscars because it's woke and probably gay. A little bit too much tinsel for them. Plus, they don't go to the cinema anymore. Nobody does. And what are the films that are up for best film? I've got absolutely no idea, and I bet you don't either. And you almost certainly haven't seen any of them. It used to be the case that we had never seen any of them because the films hadn't got here yet. Because it used to be about 6 months between opening in America and opening here. But now it's pretty much instantaneous, assuming that they do actually open in a cinema and not just go straight to TV or Netflix or something like that. OK, here's the Best Picture nominated films. The Brutalist. Is that the thing about the architecture guy? Dune Part 2. That's ancient, that. Was that this year? Conclave. No idea. Anora. I've never even heard of it. Wicked.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I had to walk out of that when it was on stage. It was excruciating. Couldn't wait for the interval to leave. I'm definitely not going to watch the film. A Complete Unknown is completely unknown to me. I'm Still Here. Where? There on the stair. No, I haven't heard about it. A Complete Unknown, that's the Bob Dylan film. Oh, right. Nickel Boys. No idea. The Substance? What Substance?
Want to score some pot?
And Emilia Perez. See, I haven't seen any of them. And I probably won't go and see any of them. Well, I certainly will not go and see any of them in the cinema. I might wait a couple of years for them to come around on TV and watch them for nothing. But, nobody cares about the Oscars anymore. It's just, it's an entirely silly thing that the audience for which must be a quarter of what it was a couple of decades ago, when people actually went to the cinema and cared about actors and actresses and what they thought, and felt invested in some of the films because they'd seen them already, but not now. No. But they will, of course they will. They'll use that opportunity to get their thoughts off their chest. And the usual suspects will say, well, you know, they're actors, so they should keep their ideas to themselves. and then those very same people will fill up the internet with their own ideas, as though only people with specific job titles are allowed to express political opinions.
Leading Britain's conversation, Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Right, so what are we doing?
Gibbon, we are doing a radio show, but it does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
Who is very, very ill at the moment. She made the mistake of taking an extended break, one of her famous 5-week-long holidays.
What?
Yeah, 5 weeks. And about halfway through it, she got quite ill. And so she's been struggling through the podcasts that we have. But I do think that you will find them amusing. There are over 320 episodes up there now. It just blows my mind that we've done that many. And yet it still feels as fresh as a daisy. If you have a problem that you would like us to solve, because it is a problem-solving podcast, if you have a problem, something you would always wondered about, a conundrum, just an issue of any kind, then allow us to bend our brains to it. Simply send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com, NICKANDCAROL @global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem? With Nick and Carol. Bodmin. Hello, Malcolm.
Oh, evening, Nick.
Yes, Malcolm.
Yeah, what's on, Nick? Anything good?
No, just me at the moment.
Nick, the whole world has gone nuts for a second week in a row, and it's last night. I think it will go down in history as one of the most unnecessary, stupid, orchestrated. I think it was very orchestrated events ever. And I think this evening there's been the polar opposite, a very, very orchestrated event to show things the other way. And I think, Nick, that Trump is in for a very, very bruising fall fairly soon, because he can't keep this up. He can't.
Oh,
surely.
he can. He can. Of course he can.
No.
He has taken over America. It is a coup. He doesn't require another election. He's going to sail straight through. He's not going to leave after 4 years. He has got the military on side. He's completely expunged the government and the state in general from anybody that disagrees with him. He's just got a bunch of yes people and lackeys to do his every command. So there are no problems for Donny.
I don't agree. I don't think he's got the military on side, and that's a minor point. But I think on the big picture stuff, this cannot be maintained, because there are people watching the TV. I'm watching it. You're watching it. All of us in the UK, everybody in Europe, everybody in the US is watching
the people that voted for him think it's great, and everybody else thinks it's awful. So what difference does it make to him?
Well, the point I would make is this, Nick, right? That, oh God, the box office is one thing, right? But this isn't box office. This is so amateur hour. It is unreal. And
what did you think of the first time that he was a president? I mean, that was amateur hour too. I mean, that was just comical from start to finish. Now it's comical with extra added evil.
Well, yes and no, but the first time around it was novel. It was new. He was like the coronavirus. He was novel, right? He was a novel virus.
Yeah.
But I think this time around, the world, I think, is partly ready for him.
No.
But the world is saying, well,
I think this time around we were less ready for him, because we weren't expecting it to be quite this full-on Trump on steroids.
Mad, yeah. So you just coined your phrase. We didn't expect it to be this full-on Trump on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, look, Nick, it isn't normal. It can't be normalized. It will never, ever be normal.
Okay,
So
well,
I think-
at what point do you think the Russian people thought that when Vladimir Putin took over?
Oh, no, Nick, look. Russia is one nation, right? America and Trump is the whole rest of the free world. So
No, because it has been in the past, but things change.
No,
I don't know
Nick,
why you're
I
finding this
didn't-
hard to grasp. Things have changed completely and utterly. America is not what we used to think of America anymore. It's not being run in the way and for the benefit of the people that it always has been. They've changed sides.
No, I don't think America has changed. Look, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, I'm 64 like you, right? But when I used to look at the TV in Russia, I didn't know what was happening in Russia because it was one country, essentially, even though it was actually many. It was allegedly one country, and we thought, no, that's fine. They are what they are. It's closed. Let them be closed. Let them do behind that
Right,
curtain.
well, why can't that happen to America?
Because the whole starting point is very, very different. We've had TV, radio, news, media for nearly 100 years now, which is
right,
super wide open.
Yes, but people don't access super wide open media. They narrowcast. They look at only a very, very narrow outlet now. There might as well be nothing but Telegram and Fox News for Donald Trump's fans.
Well, we've had that, Nick, for 10 years maybe 15 with social media and all the rest of it, from Facebook to whatever, yeah? But all of that is new. And I think that people are starting to get wise to that.
Too late. Too late. I don't think that they are. I think people are becoming ever more hooked. They're becoming ever more addicted on that sort of positive feedback loop of having your preconceptions and your prejudices pandered to by just looking at the same stuff over and over and over again, which just reinforces in your mind whatever incorrect opinion that you've come to, that Donald Trump is sent from God to save America. That his people believe that.
I can't agree with anything you're saying, but I sort of agree with everything you're saying, Nick, in that I'm trying to argue against you.
Well, you don't think it's as bad as that it looks, and that somebody somehow is going to save us from this nightmare. Well, and I just can't see that that's going to happen. Who in America is going to unseat Donald Trump? Name the person.
No, I think it's every bit as bad as it looks, Nick. But I think that in a minute, the people in America are going to say, and I can see, I understand it. They're sat in front of their TVs, but in a minute they're going to be seeing London, seeing Europe, seeing the White House,
and they'll start protesting. They'll start protesting in the streets, and at that point, the first thing that I have predicted will come true, and Donald Trump will tell his military to fire into crowds of people.
Right, yeah. So you've got a really bleak, black view of the world. I thought you were light and comedy and funny, but look, last point, Nick, for me is this, right? I think that the average TV viewer in America, we're already there. We're all saying this is mad. And I think soon America will sit up and they look at the street and say, no.
Right. Yeah, look, too late. MAGA. It's too late for that.
Nick, they're going to say, I am MAGA, but this really has gone too far now.
Right. That's not the thing that's going to upset MAGA. MAGA will be upset when they can't afford to eat anymore because Donald Trump has taken away their food stamps. MAGA will be upset when they can't afford to pay for their hospital visits. They can't even call an ambulance because it will cost them too much because Donald Trump has taken away their health care. That's when and MAGA will be upset when somebody tows their car away because they can't keep up with their payments because Donald Trump had them fired by Elon Musk. That's what's going to upset MAGA. But they won't admit that it's Donald Trump that did it because they voted for him. And so they will have invested too much in him to admit that they've been duped. Same thing with Brexit in this country. There's still a fair number of people who refuse to admit that they've been had. And neither will those in America admit that they've been had by voting for Donald Trump, who has now ruined their lives. And the reason that they won't is because it's too much loss of face. Anyway, Malcolm, it's been, appalling. But thanks for that.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Nobody knows who the hell he is.
This text says, hi, Nick, how are you, mate? It's a bit presumptuous. It says, have you seen the video posted on Donald Trump's Truth social media site showing the AI-generated Gaza video? What is your opinion on that? Because I find that crazy, or supposedly the most powerful person in the world to be posting a video like that. That almost made sense, that sentence. What would the repercussions be if Keir Starmer posted that on Twitter? Well, people would be suggesting that he changes his medication, because that would be unlike him. But it's totally on brand for Donald Trump. But the content isn't. We were talking about this yesterday. It's just so bizarre. I watched it again today, just to make sure that I hadn't actually, hallucinated some of it. It was kind of hallucinogenic. And the people that did it, they are claiming that they didn't want Donald Trump to even see it. It had absolutely nothing to do with them, and somebody gave it to or posted it to Donald Trump, and I think he just liked the gold the slim gold statue of himself, and he just reposted it straight away without actually looking at it very, very closely. Because in there's some clips of bearded men with large breasts dancing in women's clothing, which I'm pretty sure is not on brand for Donald Trump. And there was much else in there as well that was kind of embarrassing, but I think he deleted it and now is pretending that it didn't. I never saw it. I never met it. I don't really know anything about it. Jason says, do you think that Trump has noticed that Zelensky hasn't had elections because he has a massive war on? Maybe war would be a good way to get out of holding elections in 4 years' time. Also, wars are good for generating support at home if you are becoming unpopular. That's right. The question remains, who's he going to have a war with? Who's it going to be? Place your bets. Lewis. David.
Lewis, actually, Nick.
Lewis.
Anyway, great show this evening. Really good to hear from you.
Thanks.
A bit of semantics. I don't know if you agree with me. I'm rather sick to death of hearing this bloody word deal. And
I'm sick to death of hearing transactional.
Well, yeah, but I mean, do you think that the sort of the Allied powers and the Germans, when they got together in sort of 1918, talked about a deal? I mean, aren't we talking at the moment about a treaty?
Yeah.
And it also brings me back to, I mean, Brexit. Everybody was talking about a deal. I just think it's vulgar and sordid.
Yes. Well, Donald Trump is... Yes, I do. Donald Trump is particularly good at communicating with people that aren't that bright. And that is one of the reasons that he has become so successful. His vocabulary is very, very limited, and there are almost no long words in it. Presidential is probably the longest word he uses.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
He's got a very limited vocabulary, but so do his fans. And that's the reason that they like him, because he talks in a way that they can understand. Whereas, I mean, I looked at a video today and Kamala Harris was debating Donald Trump. And he would say, oh, she's so stupid, and things like that, which any moron can understand. And Kamala Harris she went on and on and on. Even I was looking around, looking for something else to concentrate on, because there were long words and they were full of syllables. And she spoke for about a minute and a half with complete sentences. And it was, for the average listener, it was boring. It was a tune-out. But Donald Trump comes on and he goes, everything would be fantastic if it was just me, And people get that.
Yeah. I mean, deal also suggests some little transaction down a side street as opposed to, grown-up organisations, negotiating in good faith.
A treaty.
It's sickening, really.
A deal.
Anyway,
I mean, that's the kind of that's what you do on a game show. on TV. You make a deal. Yes.
Yeah,
a deal
exactly.
or no deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Thanks a lot, David. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, he loves the poorly educated.
I love the poorly educated.
He said to a crowd of poorly educated people, and they whooped and cheered like he was complimenting them. That's the level we're talking about. And he speaks in their terms. They're not complicated people. They're not intelligent people. They're dingalings. There's a lot of them. And not just in America either. They're everywhere. Surrounded by morons. Have you noticed? Dan in London says, forget all the ideas that Trump has a grand plan or that he's canny. No, he's a stupid, self-obsessed, media-obsessed, stupid man, says Dan. What, you mean he's got no strategy?
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
Zero strategy. That I can believe. And Arthur in Arkansas texts, and then there's nothing there. As though Arthur in Arkansas has not quite figured out how to use a phone yet. He's managed to put the number in, but he doesn't know how to put the texts in. Or maybe he doesn't know how to connect to the internet. Well, fair enough. Mobile phones don't come with instruction manuals. You have to go online to see the instruction manual. And how would you go online to see the instruction manual? Well, you'd use your phone. But you can't use your phone until you've read the instruction manual. And where's the instruction manual? It's online. And how do you get that? Well, you've got to use your phone. And there's a hole in my bucket. Norwich. Hello, Carl. Carl? Too late.
Oh, hi.
Oh, there you are. Just in time.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, Carl. Going very well so far.
Firstly, how's Carol? I know I heard you just
Carol
say that she was
Carol
listening.
is ill.
Yeah?
Yeah, big time. But she, like a trooper,
Yeah, so I
she's...
started listening yesterday on the bus home.
But like a
you and Carol.
trooper, she is still present and correct, and the show must go on. Are we on delay?
Brilliant.
I'll tell you what, Carl. I think there's a delay. I'll count 1, 2, 3. You go 4, 5. All right? 1, 2, 3. Wow, it's like he's calling us from the International Space Station. Get another phone, Carl, or move out of Norwich. Do that straight away. Andy in Selsdon says, Thursday evening, I thought Starmer had done a brilliant job becoming Trump's mate and marginalising Farage. Now I think Farage has done a great job at handing over the poison chalice. Well, the poison is in the chalice with the palace, and the brew that is true is... No, I've got that wrong, haven't I? Oh, I've screwed that up. The brew that is true is in the chalice with the palace. The lotion with the potion is in the... Oh, I can't remember. Does that mean I'm going to die? Let's have Clacton. Hello, Ben.
Hello. Yeah, I thought that Churchill had a tear coming out of his eye when they were discussing it beside him in the Oval Office.
What?
Because
Churchill?
The Churchill bus was behind him.
Oh, right.
If Churchill had Trump as a leader then, when Hitler was standing on the coast of France,
yes,
then we wouldn't. A lot of us wouldn't be around now.
No, we'd be speaking German. We'd still be wearing hats that say "Make Germany Great Again."
But some of the backlash, it's alleged that Norway refused to fuel the American submarines for some reason. That's alleged, but obviously someone may come out tomorrow about that.
Kind
of
doubt that.
There will be quite a large backlash.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. If there's a backlash from every other country in the world, it wouldn't make the slightest difference to America because they don't do foreign news. They just don't hear it.
Well, there's another thing. I mean, the European leaders are going to have to get together. I mean, it reminds me of the when the Suez crisis was on, and there was a picture of Khrushchev and the docks, and they were unloading the tanks. And he said he had his hand on the shoulder of Nasser, and he was saying, "Don't worry, Abdul will fight to the last Arab."
That's generous.
A similar thing to a certain extent. Oh, we'll back you up, but we won't send any troops.
Yes. Well, I mean, the deal was they tried to sign yesterday. That's what Zelensky was in Washington to do, to sign this deal about rare minerals. And he was going to give over, well, Trump wanted something like $500 billion, which, of course, he was going to take for himself. It wasn't for America. Trump was going to take a large chunk, if not all of it, and offer nothing in return, which is precisely the kind of deal that Donald Trump wants. He wrote this, as far as I'm aware, in that Art of the Deal book. A good deal to Donald Trump is when he wins and everybody else loses.
Well, he did say about China, and he didn't want to get too involved in Europe because China was the one he was worried about. But he's made it even worse because he's emboldened China now. Yeah. But China think, well, he won't do anything. No. So we'll invade Taiwan, and that's the next thing.
And they don't even have to invade. All they have to do is to come in and offer the kind of money that the Americans that used to give in aid. You know, like soft power can be more potent than bombs and bullets. If you encourage people and help them build bridges and roads and all of the rest of it, and, you know, you dig them a well and they'll love you forever. And that is the benefit of foreign aid. And but Donald Trump isn't interested in benefiting people outside of America, because Americans generally aren't informed about what happens outside America. They just don't care.
Well, the Americans, probably half of America now, because of their popularity, is in a nosedive at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see what the Americans do themselves.
Well,
because
I think
a lot of Americans support President Zelensky.
Yeah, that's true. And Donald Trump, at this point in his presidency, is, I think, the least popular president in history. And the second least popular president at this point in their presidency was Donald Trump the first time around. And they voted for him again, is the thing.
Well, I think the Democrats had a lot to do with that. And the last president hanging on too long. It didn't help.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I mean, people looked at both candidates and they thought, no, Donald Trump is the man for me, because he will definitely only be cruel to other people, not me, if I vote for him. And now the internet is absolutely full of Donald Trump voters crying into their phones that they've either just lost their job, or they've just lost their health care, or they've lost the ability to buy food and they can't heat their house. And why is Donald doing this to me? Because I voted for him. Doesn't he understand? Well, of course he blooming well doesn't. But you can't tell people, no. All right, thanks a lot, Ben. I've just looked that story up. A petrol giant in Norway has announced a ban on fuel sales to all US forces following Donald Trump's treatment of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Blimey. Norwegian firm Haltback Bunkers, who do excellent work. I've got no idea. They announced it will stop providing fuel to all American forces in Norway as it declared no fuel to Americans. The firm posted on social media to declare its support for Zelensky as it dealt a hammer blow to US President Trump following the heated spat televised from the Oval Office. It said, we have today been witnesses to the biggest bleep show, very, very naughty word beginning with S.
Disgusting.
The biggest bleep show ever presented on live TV by the current American president and his vice president. Huge credit to the president of Ukraine restraining himself and for keeping calm even though the USA put on a backstabbing TV show. It made us sick. Short and sweet, it says. As a result, we've decided to immediately stop as a fuel provider to American forces in Norway and their ships calling in Norwegian ports. No fuel to Americans. We encourage all new Norwegians and Europeans to follow our example. Blimey. So I've never heard of this company. maybe they are instrumental in refueling America's submarines. And if that's true, where are you going to refuel a submarine? I mean, you can't park it in an Esso, can you? It's too big for a Shell garage. Where are you going to go?
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
And I like him. He's a good man. He is not a racist. I can tell you that. He's a good person.
That's very nice of you, Don. Liking me even though I'm not a racist. Appreciate it. This text says, the White House Don thought he made Zelensky an offer he couldn't refuse. It must have come as a surprise when Vlad the Superior said no. I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. You come to me, you ask me for favours, but you show me no respect. Alan in Reigate says, hi Nick, it's time we discuss the fact that we are the 6th largest economy in the world, and with over £3 quadrillion going through our banking and finance system, which, if it was taxed at 0.1%, it would raise £3 trillion and allow all other taxes to be cancelled. Also, we and the EU have £300 billion of sequestrated funds that the UK and the EU could use to fund Ukraine, and it could be done. Yes, Alan, all of the above could be done. But the people who run the financial finagling racket do not like to lose a single solitary penny, and they are fully prepared to spend £100 million persuading politicians that they should not do any of the above, and that £100 million will make them £100 billion. So that is money well spent. So that's the reason why it won't happen, is because people who are already spectacularly rich aren't satisfied. Too much is never enough. Daz in Embra says, Trump reminds me of Jabba the Hutt, while Vance is like his little agreeing sidekick, Salacious Crumb, who is never far from his side. Yeah. And what happened to them, by the way? I think, oh, spoiler alert.
Warning, warning.
Didn't they get eaten by the sand monster? Something like that. Let's have York. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
I am great, mate.
Good. You know when Zelensky was asked why he wasn't wearing a suit?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been good if it said, if it's good enough for Elon Musk, it's good enough for me?
Right. Well,
then I wonder what Trump would have said to that.
Yes. Well, exactly. But perhaps I can only assume that Vladimir Zelensky has been a little too busy to be scrolling through Twitter looking for videos of Elon Musk giving it the big I am and appearing in the Oval Office with a blooming baseball cap on his head.
Probably.
On his head, a hat indoors. What kind of a person wears a hat indoors?
Crazy. I did feel sorry for him, though. Zelensky, I mean.
Oh.
I mean, he was at a huge disadvantage, don't you think?
Yeah, because he's a grown-up and he was dealing with a whining, spoilt baby. Everyone's at a disadvantage in those circumstances.
And it's his second language and all those people shouting questions at him.
Yeah.
You know, I did feel sorry for him, really did. One thing that Trump did say that made me smile, he said, I stopped wars nobody ever heard about. Did you hear that bit?
No. No, I didn't.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
surely anybody could stop a war nobody ever heard about.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Mm.
Yeah. I did think that bit was funny.
Well, that's the problem with Donald Trump, is every now and again he is actually funny. I don't think he's intentionally funny, but he's just amusing. But this time around, it's not just funny and incompetent. This time around, it's funny and evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought he was going to blow a gasket, though. He was getting redder and redder in the face, wasn't he?
Well, he hates being corrected because that... the reason that he keeps talking to the press all the time, and, you know... I was going to say you have to give him credit, but you don't give him any credit at all. The reason he talks to the press all the time is that he likes to be paid attention to. And when other people are talking, that means that other people, the rest of the room is looking at the other person. The only person I've ever seen Donald Trump shut up when they're going on and on and on in the same room is Elon Musk. And that is because Elon Musk has got all of that money. And that's what Donald Trump wants. I bet I'm going to lose all of my money with all these bets that I'm coming out with. But I bet by the end of the year there'll be a televised execution. I bet by the end of the year that Donald Trump will have his people fire into crowds of protesters.
Do you really think that?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Well, he's already asked that the first time around. He wanted to go across the street and do a little photo op with a Bible in his hand in front of a church to, kid on that he loves Jesus. He's a religious person. Yeah, what's your favourite part of the Bible? Oh, all of it. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He wanted the police to shoot the crowd. He said, just shoot them in the legs. And then we'll clear them away and I can walk across the road and have my photograph taken holding a Bible in my hand.
Oh, he's balmy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Can I just ask you one more question? Completely different subject.
Go on.
Have you got a jigsaw on at the moment?
No, my place is still in a state of dishevelment because we've got builders in, so I don't have any surface to put it on.
Oh dear. You haven't given up on them completely, though.
No,
another go.
I'm kind of looking forward. Isn't quite right, but I will give it another go. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did find it a little bit annoying, really, because you put all the edges in and you think, oh, I've really done well there, and then you just stare and stare and stare and stare, and you don't get anywhere. So I found that part look kind of annoying.
But then you suddenly find a piece, and then you get on a roll and you find a few more.
A couple of more, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right, but I'll retry.
Definitely.
All right. Okay, thanks a lot, Jan.
All right.
Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. And because we stopped talking about it, I can't remember what my list was now. So he's going to execute people on live TV. He's going to fire into crowds. He's not going anywhere after these 4 years are up. The plan, I'm sure that he's already hatched in his mind, is that he will hand down the crown, for that is what it will feel like, to his youngest son, Lurch. Not his two idiot sons, not Uday and Kusei, but Lurch, because, I don't know, Lurch has the look of daddy about him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, a bit like that. Like Damien grew up. And I think that before his time in office is over, Elon Musk will be in jail and Donald Trump will have stolen all his money. Anybody want to bet? Anybody want to take a bet on that? 0345 6060 973. Joe in Hartlepool says, hi, Nick and the team. Just wanted to say, as Judy said, you need a visa for America. Trump is selling golden visas for $5 million. So all the Russian oligarchs will have a field day, says Joe in Hartlepool. Yeah, I think if you're paying in rubles, then you probably get a pass. You just get to come in anyway. John in Kent says, I think it's some kind of weirdness where nobody is allowed in the UK if they had a criminal conviction in the previous 12 months. But since the invite was for winter, it'd technically be okay. Still, shouldn't blooming happen for that big orange toddler, though. I very much doubt he's going to come here because he will hear ahead of time about the number of people who are disgruntled about his actions and are prepared to protest him on the streets. And he won't want to subject himself to that because he's a big whining baby. I bet he doesn't come. Betcha. I'll add that to the list of things that I'm betting. I never gamble, but this seems like easy money. Execution by the end of the year, firing into crowds of supporters, not leaving at the end of this term, locking up Elon Musk and taking all of his money. And what was the last one? I really need to listen to this show more carefully. You never know, I might learn something.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
I want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. Robin Westminster says, I think Melania being shown naked on Russian television was a warning to Trump that you better remember what pictures we've got on you. Well, they appear to have something on him, Russia. And that was definitely a power play. Yeah, I think it was the moment that Donald Trump won the election on Russian state television, on their number one channel, which would show absolutely nothing at all unless it had been pre-screened and agreed by Vlad the Insaner. They, on their news show, showed naked pictures of Melania. And not just one either, quite a few. And they were, chortling about it and giggling and saying, this is Trump's going to be great for Russia. But, his picture of his wife. Just to remind him who's boss. I mean, that's what it looked like to me. Otherwise, why would they do that? What do you think about that, Melania?
I don't care.
Oh, I bet you did. I bet you did. Simon in Ashby says, if they did have a parade, which they won't, we should line the streets and silently just turn our backs on the parade as it goes by. Yeah, he ain't coming. Here's a list of my bets so far. They're going to have an execution on live TV. They're going to fire into crowds of protesters. He's not going to leave at the end of the term. He's going to jail Elon Musk and take all of his money. He's going to start a war of some kind. He's going to join Russia against Ukraine. Big one. And he's going to cancel the UK trip. Anybody want to take those bets? Bath. Hello, John.
Hey. I will ask you a simple question, first of all, before I carry on with what I'm going to talk about, is what's going on with your house? It seems to be like building going on forever.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with building is that you've got to get the plumber in and he does a bit, and then you've got to get the electrician in because the electrician has to do a bit after the plumber is in, and then the electrician leaves... does his bit, and then the plumber's got to come back in to do the bit that has to be done after the electrician's been in, and then, oh God, it just goes on and on and on like that.
I know, I experienced it myself, but anyway, I hope it sorts itself out.
Thanks.
I was going to say, in terms of America, I'm surprised they haven't worked out the fact that Donald Trump is an asset of Russia. He is. And that's it.
Well, he's acting like it. Whether he is or not is we just don't know.
I think he is. Right. I think that's the biggest coup ever. Like, no shots were fired.
No.
The White House is owned by Russia, and that horrible confrontation between Zelensky more or less proves it.
Well, what would prove it to me is if America joined Russia against Ukraine, and I can see that happening.
So I can too, and what you said earlier on about firing on people and stuff, I can see that too.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he asked for it, apparently, last time around, when he was president first time.
And as for Vance, the way he was like saying, you should... oh, my God. You should thank us. I mean, how undiplomatic is that?
Well, it's not just undiplomatic. I mean, that's neither here nor there. It was just such a... I can't really use the word that I've got in mind on the radio. It's just...
Yeah, no, I can't either.
It was just such a bleep move.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And it's like... but anyway, it's just... America is kind of sleepwalking into the fact that their country's been taken over by Russia.
Yeah, well,
they just have no concept of what they've signed up for.
No, specifically, their country has been taken over by Donald Trump and his evil henchmen, and they're going to do with it what they want. What Vladimir Putin does or does not get out of it is, we'll find eventually. But the meat of the business is essentially taking over America and sequestrating their assets for the benefit of Donald Trump.
But Nick, you heard him say it. He's my friend. He said, he's gone through some horrible times where, Donald Trump was talking about Putin like he was like a mate.
Yeah. Well, he probably thinks that he is because, Vladimir Putin said that, you look svelte and smart and I like your hair. And then Donald Trump was putty in his hands. I mean, he's nothing if not totally predictable.
I mean, I would say one thing, though. I mean, I'm not a Zelensky fan. He should wear a suit.
No, it's his thing.
I know, but it is a bit weird, his tracksuit thing that he does. I don't get that.
Well, I do get it, because wherever he goes, his look of him reminds people that this is serious. This man is at war. He's not working out of an office. He doesn't clock off at 5. It's not a Monday to Friday thing. It's a war.
But I'll tell you something. He was ambushed in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
And he didn't actually, I felt sorry for him, but at the same time, I knew this was going to happen because Keir Starmer had a great meeting with Trump the day before, and Trump made promises that he couldn't keep because the moment he rang up Vladimir, I'm sure Vladimir said to him, "No, I don't want any of these troops near on the ground near the." Whatever it was he said.
Well, Russian TV is cock-a-hoop. They're absolutely loving this at the moment. They're practically run out of champagne in Russia now. They're so pleased. They're so happy they can hardly count.
Mate, I mean, let's face it. I mean, would you have thought after the Cold War and all the things that have occurred?
No.
You'd have a president that was close to Russia.
Well, let's not kid ourselves. What's happened is America has changed sides.
I know, and that's the point. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Yeah. And they have a lunatic in charge of their country, and that's it.
All right. Thanks for nutshelling that for us, John. 0345 6060 973. This text says, in the 1400s, blimey, really going back that far? In the 1400s, King Ferdinand of Naples used to have his enemies stuffed, dressed in their own clothes and positioned around his castle as a subtle message to critics. I feel we're almost at this point. Yeah, well, kind of, whatever the current equivalent is, yeah. Saying nasty things about them on X, yeah. Rob says, Nick, very poor from Meghan Markle. Not sure that she was the best choice to teach Vladimir Zelensky English etiquette. Also, somebody should remind Trump that Vance said he was like Hitler. That's right, he did. Not that long ago either. All of the Republicans, pretty much every Republican that you've ever heard of, warned us about Donald Trump before he became president the first time round. J.D. Vance said he was America's Hitler. Lindsey Graham said, oh, that man, he's just beyond the pale, or something like that. He said it, very manly and strongly. They've all done that, and then they've all just had their spines removed and fallen into line behind Verdoni, who has taken over not just that party, but America really easily. Amazing, really. Some painted clown off the telly just took over the world's most powerful country. And it was easy. And he did it twice. But if, he's fixed it now, so he won't have to do it again. He'll just stay where he is forever. Anybody want to take that bet? 0345 6060 973. Let's see now. Norwich. Hello, Carl.
Oh, hi, Nick. Is the delay gone?
Yes, I do believe it has.
Well, I was asking how Carol is, and because I was listening Friday, she did sound quite rough.
Yeah, she really did, yeah. Well, we have revelations.
Is she back Monday?
I can't promise, but I believe that is the plan. Yeah, we're going to try and record it tomorrow because she's gone and got some medicine, and hopefully it will have had some sort of effect. We'll record it tomorrow. I'll edit out her coughing, and then I'll put it on the internet on Monday.
So where is she at the moment? I'm losing track.
I know. It's difficult keeping up with her. I believe that she's still in Bangkok.
Oh, okay. Right. Is that week 5?
I think she's on week 5, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
And she's enjoying the 5th week, not quite as much as she enjoyed the first 4. Being as how she's just coughing her guts up and in bed.
Proper rough.
Yeah.
So like everybody, I think I've been trying to avoid the news and also listen a little bit. I've been a bit depressed about it all the last few days. And actually, this evening, just watched a few clips of all the European leaders essentially saying, "We support you. You know, we're behind you." And actually, I think I think it was the German, is it Chancellor, the new German Chancellor, leader or president, essentially saying that we need to, in some debate, imagine, I don't know, like BBC Question Time, but in Germany, saying that we need to just forget about America now.
Yeah,
we need
I think
to,
so. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we need to. So I think, hopefully, there might be a positive.
Some good may come of this. Yeah,
I think so.
Totally agree. Yeah.
I do want to ask you though, slightly different. So I know, was it last year you came to Norwich?
Yes. Well, was it last year? Maybe, relatively recently. Yeah.
It sounded quite positive what you're saying. So yeah, I really enjoyed listening to your reviews of Norwich.
Norwich is a great place. I had no idea that Norwich was so nice. The only thing I knew previously about Norwich was that it was the location for the quiz of the week, the sale of the century.
Yep. And of course, I think Carol was here, wasn't she, years ago with Loose Women back in the late 90s?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but Norwich, if you haven't been, kids, Norwich is a marvellous place. It really is. It's lovely.
Yeah, and it's not really so you don't travel through Norwich. I think if you're going to, you go to Norwich. It's not, you don't go through it. I mean,
well,
in terms of
really,
Norfolk.
No, it's stuck out there in the bulge on the side of the country, isn't it? You don't really go through Norwich to somewhere else because there isn't anywhere else.
I think you would, if I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're going to Great Yarmouth, you'd have to come to Norwich first. But
I think there's some nice coast north of Norwich, isn't there? But
absolutely, yes.
I don't really know anything about
it. So Cromer around that way, yeah, absolutely.
Right. You don't get sunsets though because you're pointing the wrong direction.
I guess so. Yeah, great. So on the east coast, so you've got like maybe not Great Yarmouth, but down towards more towards Suffolk, you've got Dunwich and Southwold. So good sunrises.
Sunrises, yes, but who can get up at that time of the morning? Sunsets is what we want. We want sunsets. Cocktail hour.
Yeah.
Booze.
Yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Carl.
Thanks, Nick.
0345 6060 973. Paddy in Cheltenham says, it came out today that the idiot who asked that obtuse question as to why President Zelensky wasn't wearing a suit is actually Marjorie Taylor Greene's new squeeze. I think isn't it her husband? What a surprise, says Paddy. And a Russian news outlet was also in the room with the White House pushing back by saying it was an error and they were removed. Yeah, they weren't. That's right. I think Donald Trump has banned Associated Press. He may have banned CNN. I can't remember. One of the major news outlets who have been very unkind and mean. But they allowed somebody from a Russian news outlet in the room. So, I mean, are you beginning to get it yet?
Yes.
Yeah. All the signs are there. Let's see. Quentin in Nottinghamshire says, Nick, if you're not presenting in a suit this evening, I'm going to feel disrespected. Well, like I said yesterday, does a tracksuit count?
No.
No, not really, no. Beaconsfield. Hello, Shirley.
Hiya.
Shirley.
Meanwhile, down here on Earth, we have some Star Trek music here. We've got the astronauts up there, which Trumpy said at his speech he would get them down in a few days. They're still up there. Still up there, yeah. They must be going out of their minds because it's not. I'm sure it's not good for the body to be in space for that period of time. And they were only going to be up there for a couple of days, weren't they? It's been months now. Yeah. He said he was going to get them down. Everybody clapped. Yeah. Everybody was happy. Mm-hmm. So were they up there. And they're still up there.
Right. Well, all Donald Trump wanted was a round of applause, and then that was job done. That was the end of his interest.
Yeah, that was it. So they're still up there.
And then he blamed Joe Biden for deliberately leaving them up there, which is complete nonsense. But then, of course, everything that man says is complete nonsense until proven otherwise.
He said that in his speech that Joe Biden had left them up there.
Yeah.
Okay, can I tell you something else?
Sure, why not?
You know you're having upsets with your squirrels eating your bird food.
No.
You did say the other day they were pinching all your bird food.
No, I don't put
yes,
out...
you did.
No, I don't put out bird food anymore.
No, the reason why?
Huh?
Why did you not put it out anymore?
A couple of houses ago, I used to put out bird food, but the birds were just so messy. I mean, I made the mistake of buying a big bag of mixed bird seeds, and the birds would just sit there on the perches, and they just throw 90% of them away in order to get the one that they actually liked. And so this huge pile of rat attracting seeds would be all over the place, and so. And cleaning the birdseed feeder was a bit gross, and I just thought, no.
Well, I saw a little tip a couple of weeks ago because I had the same problem. And if you spray WD-40 on there, they slide off.
Well, so you put a bird... But what's the point of having a bird feeder if the birds can't get in there?
No, the squirrels.
Oh.
Yeah. So they tried to come down, and they can't come down because there's WD-40 on there.
Slide off.
And they slide off.
Right. Smart thinking there, Shirley.
Yeah, okay. Have a nice evening.
All right, and you. Ta-da. Just splash it all over.
With Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Everything is going extremely well.
What gap? 0345 6060 973. Maidstone. Hello, Tony.
Oh, hello, Nick. Oh, God, I'm just having a toilet break. Bear with me.
Yeah. What?
No, honestly, I was waiting for so long. You've had a lot of calls. Okay, I've just finished that. Right, I've got notes. Right, I'm going to come to Starmer because the only thing good's come out, I saw him with Zelensky earlier on. That's not what I wanted to talk about because everyone's been talking about it tonight. I'm very proud of him. I think he has done, and I am really proud of him, and I think he's done his chances of winning the next election the world of good. So, yeah, anyway.
Well, there's a lot of time before that comes around, so people will have forgotten that, or they will have forgotten this by then. But, I think he's done good.
Absolutely. I'm really proud of him. But, yeah, I'm just going to divert there, but I'm going to come to that meeting because I want to say something about that. The Brit Awards. That's been on tonight.
Has it?
That needs to be axed. No, it has to be, and that might be controversial. But right now, I did write some names. Let me know if you recognise these names.
Go
on.
Now,
the best international artist went. There was 10 nominations. You had Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Now,
right. Beyonce.
She was nominated, but none of them turn up. The best international... No, they don't. International artist is... I've got it here somewhere. I've never heard of this person. It is... Oh, God, on the notes. Chapel Roan. Who the hell is that?
I don't know.
And the thing is, normally, they give the best international artist to someone who's not really that well-known. But she wasn't there.
Well, success, so, I think, because neither you nor I have heard of her.
No, I know, but and that's where it needs to be axed. Unless Jack Whitehall presents it, I may give it another year. I think they need someone like you or Ricky Gervais. I may give it another year. No, that would be great. No, Ricky Gervais.
I don't think anybody really cares about that award thing, do they? I mean, it's just the industry awarding itself prizes for making money.
Yeah, I know, but it needs to be axed because it was an absolute embarrassment. It's been on live today on ITV. It was just... And then there was these three artists. Well, I'm assuming it was R&B. You've got Dave. I've heard of him.
Dave?
Don't know any of his work. Dave, yeah. He's quite famous. Yes.
That's his only name, Dave?
Yeah.
He's only got one name, and it's Dave? You've got to be joking, haven't you?
No. He's quite... I don't know. He's right. And then the other I don't know. I've written 3 down and then I gave up.
Don't tell me. Was one of them Sid?
Getz. GHETTS and Little Sims with a Z.
Right. No idea.
It's an embarrassment. That needs to be axed.
But the thing is, Tony, that kind of music is not aimed at me. It's kiddie pop.
Not me.
I would imagine it's for children. Children buy that stuff, surely.
Yeah, I didn't recognise anyone. That needs to be axed. Unless you host it next year or Ricky Gervais, I may give it another year.
Right.
But
what time of day was it on?
Now it's been live.
Really?
It's on midweek. Yeah. It's been on TV, 2.5 hours.
I bet it's the least watched programme in that time slot among the major channels.
Probably, but it's normally like on a Tuesday normally, but they did it on a Saturday night on ITV Live. It was a joke. Paloma Faith was there. I like her, and that's all there is. It's a joke. That needs to be axed. That joke.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get down.
I'm writing that down. You mean that's not it? There's more.
No.
Go on.
Right, everyone's been talking about it. Zelensky, that really... Right, now, Donald Trump, when he was bullying him, he said, it's good for TV. I found it very uncomfortable to watch.
Well, I said that it may have been like a car crash. You'll find it difficult to look away, but you wouldn't want to see it twice, so it's not that good for TV.
No, it's not, but it's been repeated on the news. It's the headline news.
Yeah.
I found it was hard to watch. I'm not going to make it about me, but I was bullied at school. Didn't like it whatsoever. But and you've got J.D. Vance and Elon Musk. Guess how many children he's got?
I think it's 10 or 11, something like that.
13.
Right.
And your colleague, Claire Bogus, who does the Sunday show 6 till 9, an hour before yours, she even said last week that it put her off him, and because she just said, he's basically a sperm donor. But it just says exactly... That's what she said, no, but it just goes to show what sort of person that he is. But Keir Starmer, I just want to say this for the record, I am really proud of him this week. I think he played an absolute blinder. Right. But, 24 hours later, that happened, and I just felt it very... I didn't like it at all. And I think, you know what? I'm going to become an Americophobe, I think.
Well, I'm not going to be taking a holiday there anytime soon, and I will always, from this moment on, investigate other options if what I want is being made in America. Because there's always, regardless of what it is you want, there is always another option available.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been saying that J.D. Vance is the favourite to be the next US president.
Not a chance.
You don't reckon?
No. The man's got no personality. No. He turns people off. He weirds people out. It's just toe-curlingly creepy to just look at him. He's not going to be the president of the United States of America. Donald Trump will continue to be. I'm telling you, he's not leaving.
He said that. He said that last week. I think you were talking about. He did that thing at that conference, and he said that he was talking about the polls, and he said, 57%. Then he said, no, there's one for 71%. We like the 71%. He said, God, it's disgusting. I don't like it. I think Keir Starmer, I'm really proud of him.
Okay.
And I think,
that's the third time around of you being proud of Keir Starmer.
I am.
Okay, all right.
We need to get behind him.
Okay, good work. Thanks a lot, Tony. Sorry about the long wait. 0345 6060 973. This text says, I wonder if Trump can recommend a good podiatrist so I can dodge conscription. Well, that particular doctor is very, very expensive. If you have to ask how much it is, that you can't afford him. Michael in Dorset says, did you hear Trump say that he can be tougher than anybody? Surely that can be one of your clips. Keep the faulty impersonations coming. What faulty impersonations? Which thing that I say is a Basil Fawlty impersonation? I know in real life I do find myself coming out with them. But this bank of sound effects is kind of how my brain is. I do think this stuff all the time. Like when I hear, oh, right, yeah, I always think...
Oh, right, yeah.
Like stuff like that. Or when I hear somebody go, what? I think...
What?
Like that. So this is playing around in my brain all the time. You're lucky. You only get to visit this. This is my reality constantly. This text says, I found it amusing that J.D. Vance went into hiding today because of a cardboard placard, yet had the audacity to bully a man who lives under constant artillery fire. I don't know anything about the cardboard placard. And this says, Zelensky really pulled a Matrix move on that one. Dude was about to sign off his country's wealth for Trump Gaza Luxury Edition, and they started bullying him before he even landed, just to make sure he was off his game. Classic power move by these people who didn't quite work. No, it didn't quite work, did it? They wanted the money, essentially, and because they were, can you say, what's a polite way of saying arses? Because they were arses about it, they didn't get anything. They got nothing in large amounts, which is exactly what they deserved.
Leading Britain's conversation, Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
He thinks he looks good in a bathing suit. He doesn't.
Julian texts, furthermore, while I enjoy your programme and agree with... furthermore, that's not a way to start a sentence. Anyway, furthermore, while I enjoy your programme and agree with much of what you say on political and moral matters, I am often deeply doubtful of your musical tastes. What? You witter on far too much about Pink Floyd. However, you have Personality Crisis on vinyl, so I may have to reappraise. R.I.P. David Johansen, says Julian. Yes, I have Personality Crisis on vinyl. You got it when it was hot.
Rock and roll!
Yeah. Picture sleeve. What am I bid? Glasgow. Hello, Fiona.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Fiona.
How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Good. So, it's been a week.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch too much upon all of the Trump stuff because, well, yeah. Is there much more to say about it?
Not really, no.
However, I do have a couple of things. And one of them is a bit lighter on the Trump front. And it's to do with one of your sound bites. So I thought I'd share that with you.
Yeah.
So I've listened to you for a good few years now. And I was in a meeting on Friday. And one of my colleagues was giving me a presentation of some work that she'd done. And it was on the subject of climate change. And all of a sudden, my mind just popped up with fake news, your soundbite.
I actually don't have him saying fake news. So that is definitely in your mind.
I think that's you that says
me
fake news.
Yeah, I say it, yeah, but I don't have him saying it on a button.
Oh, okay. Well, even so, it popped into my head, and it was almost, you know when you have that impulse where you almost can't hold it in?
You blurt it out.
So I managed not to blurt it out until an appropriate time, but I did share it with the group, and they kind of appreciated it. So
right,
you're getting traction everywhere.
I'm affecting you mentally. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's nice. It's a community.
Yeah. Well, like radio chums.
Exactly. Totally. So
just don't ask for any money or sugar or anything like that.
Well, that would be that's fine. I don't expect any of that, so don't worry.
I mean, I like you and all, Fiona, but not that much.
We'll work on it. So I also have a couple of other bits.
Yeah.
So last week I was chatting to a friend who's maybe a little bit cautious.
Cautious? What does that mean?
Yeah. So just, a little bit more switched on to being prepared for things, or like maybe not on the level of conspiracy theories, but just a little bit more attuned to preparing for the worst.
Right.
Shall we say. Okay, so this friend had spoken to one of his friends in the Netherlands. And apparently people over there have been given advice from the government to prepare, like, some emergency preparedness things.
Do you mean the Netherlands, or do you mean Norway or Sweden? Because I think Sweden is ever in a state of preparedness, and I think that their government just gave them leaflets about what the emergency rations that they should have, and have batteries and candles and torches and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, it could have been. He said the Netherlands, but maybe I misconstrued that.
Right.
But yeah, so it was basically to have some cash on you.
Yeah, cash. That's right. Yeah.
Have some non-perishable foods in your store cupboard and things. And I actually thought, you know what?
That's very, very smart. I mean, they don't know anything that we don't know, so they're not privy to any information of incoming. There's nothing like that. But it's just smart to, have a little bit of an insurance policy, and it don't cost you nothing. Have a couple of get beans and maybe some bottled water, and have a bit of cash, because at one point the internet will go down. I mean, it might not be every bank, but your bank will eventually be affected by something or other, and you won't be able to get money out, and your credit card won't work, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think you've maybe mentioned that before, and it does kind of hit a nerve, especially when you hear about potential Russian scoping out of our communications cables and things like that.
If the internet was severed coming into this country, because if they took out a couple of our biggest cables, then it might not cut the internet entirely, but they would have to reroute it to the stuff that really matters, and that would be banks and the stock market and stuff like that. So you might not be able to go on TikTok and record one of your dances.
What?
Oh, that would be devastating.
Wouldn't it?
I've got so many stockpiled to share with the world.
Stockpile all of your dances in case of emergencies, Fiona. Promise me you'll do that.
I'll try my best.
All right, okay. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Gary in Suffolk says, Trump looks more like the when you've been tangoed man advert from the 1990s with each passing day. Is he secretly advertising the product as a sideline? Well, his Trump coin was one of the things that he was trying to make money off. And that's done very well. Donald Trump supporters have lost more than... Now, get ready. Prepare yourself to feel sorry for Trump supporters. Are you ready? Donald Trump supporters have lost more than $12 billion in 1 month after the value of the president's cryptocurrency collapsed. Isn't that sad? Dollar Trump, a so-called meme coin unveiled on January the 17th, 3 days before Trump's inauguration, lost more than 80% of its value since its peak on January the 19th. Perfectly reflecting the performance of Twitter after Elon Musk took it over and turned it into a playground for Looney Tunes right-wing bots.
Affirmative.
Robots on that site. And when Trump set out to sell his most easily duped cultists, he tweeted the following, much of it in capital letters. "My new official Trump meme is here! ! It's time to celebrate everything we stand for. Winning. Winning. How's winning going?"
Oh, fabulous.
He said, "Join my very special Trump community. Get your dollar Trump now. Go to gettrumpmemes.com. Have fun! ! And 114 million views later, are any of them having fun yet?
No.
No. You know, he's that bloke off Dad's Army, the Spiv, Private Walker. Psst, want to buy a watch? That bloke. I mean, there's a great advantage for the con artist if they have no shame. And the President of the United States of America is hawking a get-rich-quick scheme.
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, sure you do, Donny. Sure you do. I mean, this is entirely predictable. This crash has led to its overall worth falling from a peak of $15 billion to $2.7 billion on Thursday. And the paper value of the coins owned by Trump himself has also fallen by $50 billion. I mean, okay, it was worth on paper, even still, $50 billion down. And, of course, he was selling it to his fans. I mean, they'll believe anything. They're the dinglings who keep on giving.
I love the poorly educated.
And investors are on the hook after spending heavily to back the Trump coin in the run-up to his inauguration, partly as a show of support. They wanted to support Donny. But also to gamble that the token would rise in value, of course, because, everything he touches turns to gold. He's a winner, and he keeps winning and winning.
I am the most fabulous whiner. And I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
No, winning and winning, Donny. Not whining and whining.
I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
No, winning and winning. Good news, by the way. An official Melania Trump meme coin promoted by the First Lady has fared even worse, dropping 94% since January.
I don't care.
Yeah, I bet you do. Online influencers launched a series of meme coins in recent months, seeking to capitalise on the often short-lived fame, and many often collapse after initial spike in value. I think it's called pump and dump, isn't it? Get rubes to buy your worthless stock, and then when the price goes up, sell fast, take whatever you can get, and leave the marks with nothing. It's cheap and exploitative and nasty. Or, as it's known today, very presidential.
Oh, shut up!
0345 6060 973.
Let's see now. Highgate. Hello, Claire.
Oh, hi, Nick. Hi.
Claire.
Just before I start with Trump, I just want to say something I've been wanting to say for years, and I always forget. Your jingles, of course, are wonderful, but, your accents are absolutely fantastic. When you did when you did The Godfather before, I mean, that's just so expert. Everything you've ever said on, in your show, I've always thought, gosh, that's so talented.
Well, Claire,
did you ever do any acting training?
No, Claire, you must remember, I am fantastic.
Well, you are in that department anyway, definitely. Yes. I think you're very, very funny and talented.
Thanks,
but
Claire. Anyway.
Hey, that's right. I'll send my invoice later. So, Trump, that item you read out before about Norway.
Yeah.
I was mulling this over. Last night was just horrific. It was just a nightmare. It's very frightening. I'm sure a lot of us, it's very scary. So, South Africa, economic sanctions, boycotts. I think that if things get a little bit more hairy, that really every country that understands the gravity of the situation should take a short-term hit and refuse to do any trade with the US.
Well, it wouldn't be a short-term hit. It would be a very, very big hit indeed, because the United States is our biggest single country. I mean, the EU is our biggest trading partner, but that's a bloc. The US is who we trade the most with. It would absolutely ruin us.
Sure it would be. But what's the alternative?
Well, I have an alternative.
What? Go on. What?
We, as individuals, should choose where to spend our money more carefully.
Yeah, but the impact of that, and most people aren't going to be sussed enough to do it, the impact of world leaders making public statements about Trump's lies, about Putin. I mean, the fact that he didn't acknowledge that Russia had invaded and all that, it's disgraceful. It's beyond disgraceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is war. But what I'm talking about is consumers just choosing where to spend their money, which is a very difficult thing to fight back at, because who are you going to bomb?
Yes, but
you?
People I have discovered, people might idly most people aren't political. I'm sorry. And even the ones that are, don't put their money where their mouth is.
Well,
I mean, I've learned I've learned about climate change. I mean, many people, are not prepared to do the thing that would help the situation.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So I
have a but, though. I have a but, though. I've been saying this for ages.
Yeah.
The internet has given us the ability to coalesce around an issue more so than at any time in the history of the human race.
And more superficially.
Yes, it can be superficial, but it can be very, very deep. It's all things to all people. It can be very, very good and very, very bad, just like people are.
Yeah.
But what the internet has given us is the ability to coalesce around an issue. Yes. And at some point, I have predicted that enough people will say about a company, no, they've gone too far. I'm not buying their product anymore. I will buy a similar product without inconveniencing myself in any way. I'll buy a similar product from another outlet. But it could be
with Musk, of course.
Yes, exactly. The sales of Elon Musk cars have fallen off a cliff because nobody wants to be seen in them anymore.
Yes.
Well, they certainly don't want to buy them. I mean, it may be a good product that people might feel, reluctant to give up. But people now in the market for an electric car are thinking, well, what are the alternatives? Because they don't want to be associated with them. And it might not be a company that people decide that they don't want to do business with. It might be a country. I hadn't actually thought of that.
Well, like South Africa. I mean, an awful lot of people boycotted.
Yes, precisely.
And Rhodesia. I mean, a lot back then, the 60s and 70s, people did.
Yeah.
They did boycott. And indeed, people boycotted a particular bank with a name I probably won't mention on air because it was trading with South Africa.
Yes.
So, yes, there is some consumer power. You know, what you said about the internet, I mean, back in the day, I used to be really optimistic and think, God, this is amazing, the network of communication across the world. This can be done and that can be done.
Yes.
But, of course, it's been entirely corrupted because it's like the Wild West. It's been entirely regulated.
Yeah, well,
it's gone the wrong way.
Yeah, but you could say the same about paper. It's just a reflection of who we are. If you want kindness or decency, then I think you're looking in the wrong place. Because it's just the best of us and it's the worst of us. But I do think, and I'm going to have to go, Claire, because I'm just run out of time, but I do think that at some point, either a company, which is what I always thought, will go too far, or it might actually just be a country. And people used to boycott South Africa, and that was before the internet. Now, with the information that we have, the word can spread around the world in a second, and you don't have to put yourself out. You don't have to walk up and down a street with a placard. You don't have to, get into organising parades and marches and protests and all that sort of stuff. You just think, I'm not going to buy... I did this just the other day. I'm not going to buy a computer mouse from this company. That is American. I'm going to buy it from this company that's British. And it cost the same. It took maybe 10 seconds more to find it. And I feel better about that choice. And if everybody did that, then America, or whichever the institution, organisation or country that you have a problem with, then if everybody made that decision, then it wouldn't inconvenience them, wouldn't make their life more difficult, it wouldn't cost them more. Then just think about where you spend your money, and by small increments, we can make the world better. Doesn't that sound great?
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. This text says, what would make me very happy is if Zelensky wears a very expensive suit when visiting King Charles. Yeah, somebody get that man a suit. Hersham. Hello, Lester.
Oh, hello, Nick. Oh, am I on the wireless?
It sounds like you.
Yeah. Listen, I've resolved how to avert World War III. Otherwise, nothing of significance.
Finally. Go ahead.
Right. Well, if this Trumpness comes over, couldn't we give him a kingship and a bit of real estate? I don't know, Wales or the Democratic Republic of Clacton and
Clacton.
Maybe, yeah, and maybe bung in, Balmoral or Windsor just to sweeten him up a bit.
No, let's just stick with Clacton. I don't believe that anybody's looking after the interests of the people at Clacton at the moment. So let's give that to Donny. A lot of work to do there, Donny.
Yeah. Anyway, finally, and I'd even donate to the Muskrat my personalised "It's All About Me" T-shirt. What do you think?
I think that he would look super in that.
Indeed.
All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Lester. There you are, solving the problems of the world one step at a time. Let's see now. Wimbledon. Hello, Alex. Alex?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, Alex.
Yeah, hello.
Are you driving?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Yes.
It does sound like you're driving to me.
No.
Okay.
It's just noise around. Yeah.
All right. Okay, great talking to you.
Yes, I would like to mention that war it's not 3 years old in Ukraine. It's 11 years old. It started in 2014. And Vice President Vance was absolutely right. He said to Zelensky, "You don't have manpower, and you ordered, just to catch people on the street like dogs." Right. And set them to trenches.
Yeah, it's I think it's called war.
If you go to Ukraine, it's a horror because of no man on the street, only woman walking. It's an 11 years old war.
Right.
Understand?
Yeah, I get it. Thanks for the lesson. And be careful on the roads. Keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road, and however that song goes. Keep your eyes on the road ahead. Sing!
Rock and roll!
Kensington. Hello, Francis.
Hello, yes. I mean, look, Zelensky is now cost us $2.6 billion. That's what we've just given him.
Hang on a minute. Is this 2 in a row on the Nicky Abbott show? I'm not having that. You wait to the very end of the programme, and then then these Putin fans all call at the same time, just so you can get your word in. No way. Get lost. Gary in Suffolk says, Trump looks more like the... Oh, no, that's the You've Been Tangoed man. The Tangerine Scream.
Oh, shut up!
Just saying. This text says, I see you're wicked and I raise you cats. The musical, awful. The film, awful. The creature, beautiful. But the former owe me 4 hours of my life back. Yes, thank you, Andrew Lloyd Webber. You have delighted us enough. Gordon in Hampstead says, I remember you saying how much you enjoyed the movie Don't Look Up a few years ago. How prescient does that movie seem now? I would say very, says Gordon. Yeah, I would say very as well. Now, I'm not entirely sure I can pronounce this, but I'll give it a go. Clanfillin. Is that right? No.
Yeah, it's Flanfoflin, as best as I can pronounce it.
Right. Your name is Cliff with 2 Fs, which is pronounced Cliff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's Clifford, but the only time I'm called Clifford is when I'm in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Anyway, there's a few things I wanted to say. First of all, you could never be in Trump's inner circle.
No.
Because you have at least 2 brain cells functioning at the same time.
Yeah. One too many for the circle.
Yeah. And I do have to say that I'm now embarrassed to admit that I'm an American.
Right. Well, it's not your fault, Cliff. I believe that you were an American when you arrived.
When I was born, yeah. But
there's nothing you could have done about it previous to being born. I mean, you could have made plans, but you decided not to. So I suppose it is actually on you.
Yeah. Well, I never thought I'd be embarrassed to be an American, but Donald Trump is a very scary person.
Donald Trump is a very smart person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
He told us so himself.
I said scary.
Ah, right.
Yeah. No, and I think you did say something like he probably is going to be president for many years.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah. I see that coming, and that's scary.
Yes, because I don't think with age he's actually going to get any better. I think this is as good as we can expect from Donald Trump, and from this moment on, I expect it will be downhill all the way. Yeah, so these are the good old days. We're living them right now. Be happy, Cliff. Gotta go, but thanks for that. 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 Gotta go, but thanks for that.